Radio DePaul Sports, the student voice of your DePaul Blue Demons, alongside defensive coach Antonio Benson. I'm Eli Herskovich. Antonio, how's it going, man?
It's going well. It's going well. How you doing?
Let's get into the game from this past weekend against Robert Morris. What did you see that your team did well in that game? And if you want to let the listeners how the game went as a whole, too.
Well, first of all, we went down there, of course, came away with a loss. It's #1 team in the nation, so, they're pretty well prepared. A few talented guys on the other side of the ball. So, for the most part, I think we played well overall. We were a little short-handed, but, at the end, we always fight hard.
How many players did you go into that game with?
Wow. Was 18, 19 players maybe?
Okay, so you were a little short to say the least.
Yeah.
What are you trying to say to students to try to get them out and participate and become a part of this club football team?
Well, I think first of all, it's going to add some pride. It's DePaul and it's football. So why not come out, help your team? I see a lot of kids walk around campus wearing the colors. So, it seems like it's a proud campus. So, why not come out and help out?
Looking specifically at the game, what did you see from your secondary? And you're talking about the safeties, the cornerbacks, trying to limit Robert Morris's offense.
Well, to be totally honest, right now these guys are pretty much doing what we asked them. It's not too much yelling now, but they did a lot of good things. Robert Morris did a lot of running the football. They hit us a couple times up top. We actually had a cornerback on the field who played his first ever football game. And to say that, I think he did pretty well. But again,
You're talking about Gabe Dalmasi?
Yes, sir. That's him.
That's him. So what did you see from him that impressed you?
Well, Gabe went out there fearless, to be totally honest, man. It's a physical sport, so you see a lot of guys shy away from hitting. The first guy came his way, he stuck his nose in there and put a hit on him. So that right there surprised. Well, I'm gonna say surprised me, but it let me know he was ready to play.
Going out and making the tackle?
Yeah. Put his nose in there, didn't shy, and boom.
That's impressive when you have a football player that's trying to come in and make an impact on your team. What was the overall thoughts from the rest of your team about Gabe's performance too?
Oh, well, they love Gabe, to be totally honest. First he's standing on the sidelines taking pictures and everything. He's kind of, a manager type guy, but, it's nothing but support. You know what I mean? Guys walking up to him after the game, shaking his hand, telling him, hey, you balled out. So it's definitely mutual respect.
Looking at the rest of your defense, who impressed you the most against Robert Morris? Obviously, the offensive production wasn't there, but defensively, were you able to stop them in any sense as a team on defense? What was the most important part that you saw from your defense on the field on Sunday?
Well, it's just they never gave up. To be totally honest, man, we gave Robert Morris the ball on the 30, 40-yard line numerous occasions. So it wasn't like they were taking the ball.
So it was the offense that put your defense in bad spots?
Well, special teams and, a couple bad snaps and things like that. It's just not moving the ball as well as we need to. It's a lot of different things that are gonna make that happen. But we don't want to just solely put on the offense. Those guys out there playing as hard as they can,
Looking at that Robert Morris team, #1 in the nation, who impressed you off that squad?
Well, they had a few guys, but to be totally honest, I was impressed just how well they played together. There wasn't one guy who I said, well, that guy's a stud, this guy's a stud. They just played well together as a whole.
Is that a point is that team looking? Are they the pinnacle that you guys want to get to overall over these next few seasons?
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, if they're the #1 team in the nation right now. We see what our measuring stick is. We see what we need to do to get to where they are. So definitely, that's who we want to chase.
What happened over the bye week? Because you had a week to prepare for this game. So what did you see out of your team that you practiced and the practices went well? What went well in the practice and just didn't have success on the field with?
Well, I mean, practice always go pretty well. I mean, the guys listen. They do what they're asked. But sometimes, due to class schedule and things like that, we're not always able to get, 20 guys.
The full team together.
Yeah. So we might have 10 guys who are there and they're learning. But then the next practice might be a whole different set of guys who are there and learning. So it's hard to kind of match that together. And that's, I think, our biggest problem is practice time. A lot of these teams are practicing 3-4 times a week, and it shows on the field. So,
how do you get your team to be able to practice together? Is there a way that you foresee that coming together over this season or a plan going forward for next season?
Well, I think now, if you're going to be planning on playing football, maybe you can try to, schedule your classes a little bit around that. We know we're going to try to practice during the week, maybe Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. So maybe you can kind of, juggle your class load. accordingly.
Right, accordingly to the club football team. What was the morale of the coaching staff after the loss? Coming out with another loss on the season, is there a down feeling, or are you trying to be positive for the rest of the season, just to try to continue this momentum into next year?
Well, to be totally honest, every time you come away with an L, there's a feeling of, you didn't do your job, you didn't get it done. But as far as looking at my team, there hasn't been one time this year where I've walked off the field saying they didn't give it all with my head down. Every game they're improving, and that's all I ask. Improvement. You know what I mean? If you improve from day in and day out, even in life, just as a person, just in class, whatever it may be, improvement is key. So that's all I can ask for.
Where does your coaching history lie from to be able to get to this point?
Well, to be totally honest, this is my first coaching job. I've been playing the game for a long time. I actually still play right now. I play for a semi-pro team in town. So it's like I'm a football junkie.
Are you trying to bring some of your experience on that team to the younger guys on this team, on DePaul Club Football?
Yeah, definitely. I love teaching, coaching. I love telling these guys, this is how you do something, then seeing them apply it on the field. Then they come back and say, hey, Coach, remember what you told me? I say, yeah, it worked. So it brings a smile to my face.
What position do you play?
I'm a cornerback, DB.
Cornerback. So what skill set, or what's the most important part of your game that you try to bring on the field for your team that you try to teach to the kids on this DePaul Club football team?
Well, first of all, I think it's confidence. Just believing in yourself, knowing your ability. Other than that, it's footwork. Playing a DB or playing a defensive position, you have to be able to move your feet. You're at a disadvantage because the receiver knows where he's going, you don't. So you have to be able to react quick and get on him.
Is that what you do well, reacting to the wide receiver?
Yeah, I think my footwork's pretty well, and I don't want to say I'm a shutdown corner, but I like to play man, so I like to get up in there. And
if you had to compare yourself to a cornerback in college or NFL, who would it be?
Oh wow, comparing. I used to have long hair, so a lot of people compare me to Peanut. I'm a little bit older now.
You ball punch a little bit, trying to get the ball out?
I'm a scrappy type of dude. I'm not the biggest guy, but I line up against your 6'2" receiver, and we're gonna go at it. We're gonna have some fun.
So how do you tell your team that? I was watching some of the game film, and a lot of these receivers on Robert Morris in the past few weeks are tough and physical guys. What's the key to shutting down an opposing wide receiver if you're a college student from that perspective?
Well, it all depends. I think being physical. To be totally honest, in my opinion, a lot of receivers don't like the contact.
In club football, do you have the 5 yards of contact that you can use off the bat?
Yes, sir. Yes. You can bang out, you know what I'm saying? Put them on the ground if you can in that 5 yards.
Is that something that your team isn't doing well right now?
Well, we tried that beginning of the year, but you have to go with your personnel. I think right now, with the personnel I have actually 1 or 2 guys who I know can press, you know what I mean? But most of my guys are comfortable with getting them a little bit of cushion so then they can make up and kind of, make the play there.
So more of a shadow cornerback.
Yeah, something like that. Because we went to a lot of zone as well. So we're not doing man now, so it's all zone. So it's kind of like playing a position in the area and just kind of knowing what you're supposed to do.
Are the safety doing their job too, helping out over the top of the coverage?
Well, yeah, definitely. But sometimes it's hard. If there's a slot guy, you have to come down and worry about something else. So, I think the safeties are doing their job. But sometimes, there's a little bit of thinking. So you see one thing, you react to it when maybe you shouldn't have. You know what I mean? But it's kind of hard. It's football.
Okay, that is your defensive coach here on Radio DePaul Sports. We'll be back talking more DePaul Club football here on Radio DePaul Sports. More about the schedule, what DePaul should be looking for. They play Loyola this weekend. Potentially we'll have coverage of that game. Tony, let's get into some of the key players on this DePaul Club football team's defense. You mentioned Kevin Scripps during the break. What does he do for your team that listeners and fans of the team should know about?
Wow, man, the question probably should be, what doesn't he do? That dude's all over the place. He's playing DB for me. He's playing some safety. He's returning kicks. He's playing receiver, running back, wildcat quarterback. I mean, we probably asked this guy to get on the offensive line and block. He'd probably do a pretty good job. So Kevin's all over the place.
Is that kind of mentality of a do-it-all player trying to seep into the rest of your team, that you can go out there and play multiple positions, especially when you have a limited roster?
Well, if you have a limited roster, definitely. But not necessarily the do-all, be-all guy. I think his attitude as far as how hard he works is what I, love, that kind of rubs off the rest of the guys that I would want to rub out. every time he gets the ball, he's running hard, he's putting his nose down, and he's not stopping until you stop him. So that's kind of what, I would love the other guys to learn.
So he's playing a little offense too?
Yeah, definitely.
What does he bring to the offense?
Oh, man. Hard-nosed football. He has that rare combination of power and speed. He can get around the edge on you, but if you get a hand on him, it's not going to be so easy to bring him down.
Looking at the rest of this defense, we mentioned it during the last part of the show. What is one area that you look to improve upon against Loyola this weekend on defense? How do you try to correct your mistakes over the past few weeks? I know the bye week is already behind you, but what area of defense are you looking to improve upon against the Loyola Ramblers?
Well, I think it's going to be stopping the run. Loyola's going to be a run-heavy team. I think last week they collectively ran for about 250, 260, as a team. Had one guy do 150, so, what I'm saying, they're going to try to shove it down their throat. So we can, stop the run and do a pretty good job of that. I believe in my DBs. I think they can cover, to the point to where, we can make some plays.
How was the run defense against Loyola in the first game of the season?
Well, to be totally honest, it's kind of what did us in. But, we were doing a 3-4. We kind of went to a 4-3, provided we have the linemen to do it, to be totally honest. But I think the 4-3 is going to, give us a few extra bodies up front to help stop the run.
What does your 4-3 defense look right now? Who are the key people on the defensive line to keep an eye out for?
Wow, well, we got Adam George, he's one of them. Big Rob, he's one of my guys on the line. Mike Palagucci, he's definitely one of my key guys. We would love to use Big John Messman on the D-line. He has some knee issues, so we kind of try to limit him to offensive. But it's a host of guys, man. J.J. McCool. It's just a host of guys that's just coming in and kind of rotating and filling in.
One of the defensive coordinators on this staff, the defensive coordinator, Adam Savarine, you and him work together to come up with your defensive game plan. What goes into that relationship? Do you guys hang out outside of the coaching area? What do you guys try to do to improve upon your success on defense?
Well, we have meets, coaches meets and stuff like that. But I think me and Adam get on the field and we kind of just click. We both want the same. We want the team to improve. We want to coach and teach. So when we get on the field, we're just kind of going off each other. A lot of times he's calling the defensive up front, and then I'll tell my DBs what I want them to do, what type of coverage I want them in. So we're doing it as a co-unit. I think it's worked.
You play football right now, as you mentioned earlier. How important is coaching success, especially on the defensive side, when your coaches click for the success of the rest of the football team?
Well, I think it's very important because your players are going to look at that. They might not say it, but they're going to notice your relationship between the coaching staff. So if they're looking and saying coaches not getting along with each other, they're going to wonder what's going on. So maybe what you're saying, it may not be so, forthcoming to kind of, grasp hold of.
So you guys try to have obviously the most positive relationship on the field and off the field in practice as possible.
Yeah, definitely. He's a great guy. You know what I'm saying?
There's something wrong with that. You're just hiding it.
Well, hey, there's nothing I can say bad about that guy. You know what I mean? So.
No, he's a good guy. He came in here once before.
Definitely. So the whole coaching staff, Brandon, Carlos. I think we all have fun together. It's like, we have our not even beefs, but with coaches, we're all proud, man. Man. So of course we may disagree on certain things, but it's never get to the point to where. It's going to hurt the team.
Looking at that road trip over this past weekend against Robert Morris, coming back on the loss, is there a certain sort of defeat that your team feels after another loss on the season, or is there a positive vibe coming back from that game over the weekend?
Well, these are tough kids, man. They're resilient. So I'm pretty sure it's tough for them to not, get a W. Because they're working their butts off, and they've been working their butts off for a year now. Trying to get, to get that W, that first, W. So I'm pretty sure it hurts. But as far as having heads down, no, I'm not saying that. These guys, they're ready to get back after it. So they're a bunch of great kids.
What kind of vibe do you try to bring to the defensive players, not only them, but the offensive guys after a loss like this?
Just to keep your head up, man. I always tell them, because I've had plenty coaches, players, even the chain gang from the other side tell us how well coached we are, how we play hard and we don't give up. You know, how we don't look like we're a first-year club team. So that right there, I try to, provide that to them to let them know, hey, these guys just beat you 50-0, but they're watching. You know what I mean? And they know that once you guys get your stuff together, you're going to be a team that's going to be reckoned with. So deep down inside, maybe they're a little bit scared of you guys because they know they wasn't looking as good their first year. So, I mean, it's something to grab hold on, man.
How long was Robert Morris in the Club Football League for?
To be totally honest, man, I think this is maybe their second or third year, But even with Oakland, they were telling us how their first year, and they were number 16. They were telling us their first year, they sucked. Excuse me, basically. So, I mean, it's about the commitment. It takes bodies. And
It takes time.
Yeah, definitely.
How much time do you think it's going to take to get that first win this season? Or looking at this Loyola game over the weekend, what's it going to take to be able to, you mentioned the run stopping from your defensive front, but maybe on offense, I know you're not an offensive coach, Tony, but offensively, how does this team get it together?
It's going to be tough, man. We've had a kind of a quarterback carousel, if you will. Man.
Couple of injuries.
Yeah, definitely. So we've had guys playing out of position. We had a brand new guy started quarterback who's been playing receiver for us. So, he did a pretty good job. He stood in there with his head high, but at the same time, he's not a quarterback. So, I would love to have an actual quarterback, but, I still think we can still sustain some type of, running drives and, get things moving a little bit more. So it's just about hopefully keeping the offense on the field a little bit more and keeping the defense off.
When I was watching some of the film, Tony, looking at some of those plays, it seemed like it was a delay in a sense because you're not getting a ball in the quarterback's hands quick, and that defense of Robert Morris looked really tough, blitzing up the middle and creating a lot of schemes that had a lot of questions on the offense. So taking a look at that game especially, what went wrong and how do you try to improve upon that?
Well, it's just when we're shorthanded, you're going to have guys playing position they never played before. So even when you look at the offensive line, those guys are fighting hard. But, maybe they don't have that much experience. And to be totally honest, I don't care what type of athletes you have on the outside as far as skill players.
You need blocking.
You need blocking. So let those guys breathe a little bit, do what they can. Like I say, Kevin Script, there's no one guy who I've seen tackle him yet. So if you give him a couple of blocks, maybe he can break some. So it's just about trying to get a cohesive offensive unit together. But, time will tell. It'll come.
How do you get that from your offensive line? Is it sort of a mental thing, a physical thing?
It's a little bit of all that. It's mental, physical, preparation. I go back to the practice thing. I hate to dwell on that, but it takes preparation, man. Throughout, we need. If we have 25 guys on the roster, we need 25 guys to practice. You know what I mean? So we need everybody working well as a unit, a cohesive unit. That's the only way you're going to work as a football team. What
does Coach Jones bring to this team in terms of leadership after all the losses this team has endured upon this season? What kind of positivity can he bring to DePaul Club football?
Oh, man, he always keeps it positive. He's that intense guy, man. He's always, challenging the kids, what I'm saying, just trying to get them to better themselves. So, he's never bad-mouthing them, putting these guys down. He's letting them know after every game. Because he'll tell them, the score will be 35-0, and he'll say, hey, listen, what have this team done to beat you guys? And they look around and say, actually, nothing. We've done everything to beat ourselves. So he's constantly picking them up and telling them, hey, listen, you guys are this close. They just don't realize it yet,
As a progression offensively, before we take a break, where's the progress come on offense? You mentioned the blocking needs to get better, but have you seen any sort of improvement on that side of the football?
Well, yeah, I think Serrano, our receiver, I think he's improved. And just improving overall as far as guys knowing what they're supposed to do. Like I say, Kevin's been a big part. John Bill, he's been running the ball really hard. I've definitely seen a lot of improvement from him. So it's just overall, I think they're improving as a team. It's just hard to pinpoint, just one aspect at times,
This Loyola game here on Sunday, I believe, correct?
Yes, sir.
Or Saturday?
Yeah, I believe it's Saturday, actually. I apologize. Sunday was the last game.
Yes, we got a little bit of 6 days here, but between the last game, Robert Morris, and Loyola coming up here Saturday at 7 o'clock. I believe you were talking to me about this over the break, about how the head coach of the Loyola Ramblers was your former coach of your semi-pro team.
Yes, sir. Actually, it was our defensive coordinator and DB coach. So, he actually taught me a few things. So, it's kind of fun to see him on the other side. And actually, even Coach Jones knows him pretty well as far as just coaching things like that.
What does he bring as a coach that you try to take away for your players? What impressed you the most when you were playing and under his realm as a semi-pro team?
Well, I think what he kind of tried to instill in us was perfection. He would always say, "I want perfection." Being average is okay, but perfection is always good. So shoot for the skies. That's why I tell my guys, I want perfection on the field. I want interceptions. If it's an interception, I want a pick six. You know what I mean? If it's a fumble recovery, I want you to pick it up and run for the touchdown. Because sometimes when you're 90% good, you lose the game 7-6. You know what I mean? So it's kind of be perfect. Be perfect.
Is that what happens with your team over these past few weeks, excluding the bye, not really finishing plays?
Well, I mean, I think we've shot ourselves in the foot a lot, so it's kind of hard to get the play started. But yeah, sometimes, I mean, it's not like we're leaving plays on the field, just, penalties and things like that, it hurts. But our offense is going hard. Brandon Davis, who's our quarterback coach and offensive coordinator, he's did a good job with our new starter, John Nowak, who's the guy who just started.
Quarterback?
Yes, who'll probably be starting against Loyola. And he actually brought him a long way. John has this saying, "Don't rock the goat." So he's kind of that rah-rah guy. You know what I mean? No one really messes with John. He's actually kind of reminds me of a true leader as far as a quarterback with his attitude.
So what does Nowak bring as well as the quarterback and offensive coordinator too? What do they bring in trying to instill some confidence in this offense against Loyola this weekend?
Well, I mean, yeah, they bring that level. I mean, Brendan has played. He was a pretty good quarterback in high school.
Where did he play at?
I think he played at Pekin, downstate. So he's all area, all state type of guy. Played some D3 ball. So he has a very good knowledge of the game. And just him working with John Nowak over the past couple of weeks, you can tell it's rubbing off on him.
Did Nowak get any time against Robert Morris?
Well, actually, yeah, he started. He was our quarterback for the whole game. And again, it's tough when you get out there and you're just thrown to the wolves, so to speak. But I think he stood in there tall and did a pretty good job. And
that's the point of the progression that we were mentioning earlier, that it takes time. And is that what you're looking for from Nowak this week, just in terms of playing a better game than last week? Not a perfect game, even though you strive for perfection, but just looking for improvement from game to game.
Oh, definitely. I mean, because at this point, man, if we get improvement from the offense, man, we're that much closer to getting that W. So as long as they keep improving week in and week out, and our defense keeps improving, which we know we are. But like I say, we haven't had a steady quarterback. I think if we had one steady quarterback since week 1, we would have had our first win by now.
Besides stopping the run on defense, what's one area that you look to improve upon this weekend against Loyola?
Tackling. Let's tackle people, man. Sometimes you get away from that. And like I say, lack of practice times and not being able to do it, hurts. But it's just tackling. That's the biggest key. If you ask any football coach, man, that's probably the main thing he wants. He wants guys to be able to tackle and bring them down, because missed tackles lead to more yards leads to touchdowns.
How do you instill that in your players in terms of tackling out in the open field? What's the key to bringing down the Loyola Ramblers players this week?
Get them low. No arm tackle. Don't go high. You gotta chop them down. Get in there, grab hold, and wait for you guys to come. Because you got 10 other guys on their way.
And that's been the problem over the past couple of weeks, is the arm tackling.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I'm going to get some big dudes. I don't care how big you are. Arm tackling is not going to work. Guys coming at you full speed. I mean, you're going to get your arms ripped off. I mean,
go out and make the play and get down low.
Get low and make the tackle, man. I mean, just try not to think about it. Sometimes these players, they think a little too much, and once you start thinking too much, you make mistakes.
I wanted to get into the rivalry, too, with Loyola. Did you sense a rivalry building in that first game? Was there anything from the Loyola sideline or on the field that could spurt into a rivalry over these next few seasons?
Well, I think it's definitely felt that rivalry, even between the coaches. I mean, like you say, because we know each other, there's going to be that rivalry. And because, schools are right down the street, virtually, red line or whatever you want to call it, there's that rivalry there. There's a lot of Loyola alumni, guys who their parents actually played with DePaul back in the day. So it's pretty good as far as building up. I think it be pretty big.
what does the quarterback Nowak have to do on offense to be able to get some points up on the board early? Because I think that's been the problem with DePaul Club football, not scoring the ball to start, and if you can get some points, gain some momentum off of that too.
Well, I think just standing in there strong, man. Making his progressions, taking the steps back. Finding an open guy. If we could, we would love to run the ball a lot. But it's just making heady plays, smart decisions. And we're going to put him in a position to make the play. You just have to be smart about it.
Let's let the listeners know how they can get out to the game this weekend against Loyola on Saturday night.
Well, actually, just getting an instant message on Facebook from Riley Halligan, who's actually the club president. He said,
live updates here on the show.
Exactly, man. This is the real deal. But he said they're working on maybe trying to get some shuttles for guys, students to hang out. You can buy a weekend pass for $7 to get out there, and then maybe just a suggested donation at the ticket booth, something like that. So pretty sure we'll be posting that on the team Facebook page and things like that. So be looking out for possible shuttle buses to get you guys out there to support, man, and do the rah-rah thing.
What does Riley Halligan bring to the team, not only as a player on defense, but as the president of DePaul Club football, like you mentioned?
Well, yeah, he's the president, so he's doing a lot of things, man. He's talking to the other teams. He's getting fields together. He's handling uniforms. I mean, the guy washes every uniform after the game. So he's going
Does a lot of work.
Above and beyond in Call of Duty. He's very dedicated, to this. That's one of the things that I noticed when I first met Riley, man. So actually just wanted him to succeed on the field because I think he's worked hard at it.
What can you guys do to tell the students to come out to the game, and where can they buy a T-shirt as well to support DePaul Club football?
Well, right now, Alex Smith, who's actually one of the other board members, and actually our starting middle linebacker, he has all the T-shirts. You can purchase from him, I believe, $20, but maybe $10 at the Loyola game. So just to kind of get him out there. But yeah, man, contact him. We'll put some information on our Facebook page and. Get a T-shirt, man. Fit or D, support, man. We need it.
How important would it be to have a solid fan base there on Saturday against Loyola in what's considered the home stadium?
Man, to be totally honest, man, it would be big, man. It would be almost bigger than getting a W. But I think having that support would drive our guys to getting that win. I mean, they're out there sometimes it's 4 or 5 people in the stands on our crowd. And I can remember one game when it was less than that. So, of course, like we're traveling to Ohio and Michigan, things like that, so it's hard to travel. But if it's a home game, man, we need the support from the fans,
I remember when I did a basketball game for DePaul last year, and no one was there. Obviously, there were some people, but you don't have a lot of fans, and even as a broadcaster, I know this is off glance of a player's perspective, but I enjoy it when fans show up because it feeds you the energy just as it would on a player on a court or the field.
Definitely. I think sometimes, man, some players actually exceed when it's like that. When the pressure's on them, man, and there's people watching. That's sometimes what a player needs to get to that next level.
Against Loyola now, so what's the game plan for you, Coach Benson, on defense? What do you look to expose in Loyola's game planning on Saturday night?
Well, I think we want to stop them from running the football. I think if we stop them from doing that, maybe they panic a little bit, Maybe they don't, throw the ball as well, and then we can use our athletes to kind of get out. No, I want to throw the ball down the field. Come on. I accept the challenge, man. I think my DBs are ready. So throw the football, please. Let me get a chance to get my hands on it, So I would love that. We can stop that run and force them to throw the football. I think we got a good chance of winning.
Give the opportunity and give your defense a chance to make plays.
Yeah, definitely. That's what it's all about. Even playing DB, man. It's a ball hawk mentality. If the ball is in the air, you want it.
Go out and make the play instead of letting the football come to you.
No fly zone, man. It's like the U.S. Air Force. This is you can't fly over here.
How does this offense look to improve upon their past few games against Loyola?
Well, I mean, I think that's John Nowak improving. I think it's going to be key for us. Because once we're able to show that we can throw the ball, because we're not trying to throw the ball down the field or anything, but we do a lot of jail breaks and screens and stuff like that. We just want our playmakers to get the ball. So as long as we can get the ball in their hands, we'll be okay.
More of an opportunity for those players to do that this weekend?
Yeah, definitely. I think we're going to be okay. John's going to have another week, in the office, so You know, he's a confident guy, man. It's crazy, man. He's a fun dude. You hear me? So I think he's accepting the challenge.
Coach, thank you very much for joining me here in studio. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
That's defensive coach Tony Benson. I'm Eli Herskovich. That's Club Football Weekly for you today. Same time next week, 4 to 5, here on Radio DePaul Sports, the student voice of your DePaul Blue Demons.